So how much time is allotted? Okay. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshudamiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. I want to stay on the theme, as I said I had intentioned, but I'll try my best to stay on the theme of what we spoke yesterday evening. Now, some of you were not here with us yesterday evening. The foundation message for this weekend and for our whole Krishna consciousness movement is bhakti, as given to us in definition by Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilashata Shunyam, that verse. We saved a spot for you right in front. See, it's just perfect fit. Right next to your friends and everything. But you can't get restless, you just have to sit still. If you're going to sit in the front. Okay. Bhakti is a gift. It's compared by Chaitanya Charitamrita, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita as a seed. We spoke this morning about crushing the seed of material desire, but it's best replaced by the seed of bhakti, bhakti lata. Bij, the creeper of bhakti, begins with a seed. And the seed is something, in one sense, that's already seed is something that's already with us. Bhakti is something that's already with us. It just needs to be awakened. The soul is dormant, in a sleeping condition, not gone, just checked out, asleep, and covered by ignorance. And so the seed that's given by the mercy of Guru and Krishna is the sound vibration that awakens the seed, the dormant seed. And when that dormant seed awakens, then the activities of sadhana, we discussed this the first evening, the activities of sadhana bhakti begin. It's a cultivation of the relationship that we eternally have with Krishna but has been forgotten. And it's not so clear. There's some preliminary faith that's required and good association that's required that helps to nourish that preliminary faith. And then gradually, the activities that are aimed at awakening in full that relationship. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes that this association of devotees that awakens the dormant bhakti that's within everyone, he likens it to a river that sometimes appears to go underground. It seems to disappear, but it's there. Now, I'm not a geologist, but from what I understand, there are such things as rivers that are on the surface of the earth, and sometimes they go beneath the earth and they appear to be gone, but they're running beneath the earth. Yes? And so Bhaktisiddhanta's term is Vaishnava Vishva Raja Sabha. Nice word. That's the Hare Krishna movement, or ISKCON. The Sangha of Vaishnavas, the Sabha of Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Vishva Raja Sabha. Sometimes it's visible. So he, Bhaktisiddhanta, made it his mission to make that which was now running underground to be on the surface. And all it takes is sound vibration. And sound vibration brings that dormant, now latent association of devotees to come up. And that's what Srila Prabhupada did, following Bhaktisiddhanta. He came to the West. And lo and behold, there were people that were devotees. They just had forgotten. And a little association with Prabhupada or Prabhupada's followers, and very quickly they became devotees. Just the other day I was sharing, I'll say it again, it's really nice. There's so many nice stories like this. Many of you here know Badahari because he's visited here many times. We were at a japa retreat together, and with his wife, he was describing how he became a devotee. And his wife was kind of chiming in, saying, yeah, he was really on a track to become a famous musician. So he went to a special music school. Subal also went to a special music school, right? And he graduated, and Badahari, and then he was part of a musical group, I don't know what kind, and the first thing that they did is they toured in Europe for a couple of months in the summer. You know, they very quickly got acclaim. His wife was saying they were on the road to success, real successful group. And then he came back to his home, which was California. When he landed at LAX, LA Airport, and he got a book. I remember it was Bhagavad Gita, whatever the title of the book was. And when he got home, he read the book. Then he saw there's an address of the temple, so the next day was Sunday, he went to the temple. And he liked it so much, he just packed his bag and moved it into the temple on Monday. It was fast. These days, it's not so fast. And, you know, he became a temple president in Laguna Beach, and on and on and on and on and on and on. But how? Through association. And the association initially was one of Prabhupada's books, and then the association of devotees of people who are living a life of devotion. And he was so attracted, in principle, that he just gave his life. So in this way, through sadhu sangha, then came, instead of, as Bhaktisiddhanta had done in India, Bhaktisiddhanta wanted in the West, so Prabhupada was the instrument of that desire of Bhaktisiddhanta, which was the desire of Bhaktivinoda, which was the desire we read this morning of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in every town and village. So ISKCON began. And by Prabhupada's mercy and a lot of hard work on the part of a lot of servants of Prabhupada, assistants and followers of Prabhupada, we recently experienced and celebrated ISKCON 50. So my message this morning is ISKCON 100. One of the things that Srila Prabhupada was known to do was whenever there was some milestone that was achieved by the devotees. There would be, a modest celebration, and then we knew what was next. Prabhupada was going to tell us what's the next milestone. He would give us, in his language, fresh challenges. Not too much, but a challenge. I remember specifically in Boston was one of the initial temples. Prabhupada had sent Satsrup Maharaj to go to Boston. Then it was Satsrup Das Adhikari to go start the Boston temple. Because there were lots of colleges, and part of Prabhupada's strategy was reaching college students because he saw them as potential leaders for his Hare Krishna movement. And so Prabhupada was deciding how many Back to Godhead magazines would be published monthly. Then it was a monthly. And it reached a certain number. I don't remember what the number was. But Prabhupada wrote a letter to all the temples that had helped achieve that, thanked them, and said, next month it's going to go up to some other number, which was about 2.5 times what it was the previous month. And we were thinking, you know what we were thinking? Oh my God, how are we going to do this? But Prabhupada wanted us to do this, and so we had to find a way to do it. And we found the way to do it. And when we did it, Prabhupada thanked us very much and then saw the next milestone. And that was my experience growing up in the Hare Krishna movement as part, under our esteemed father, spiritual leader, Acharya. He was always looking forward. Not too far forward, but looking forward. So what's next? And what's the next milestone? What's the next challenge for us for him to give to us and to meet? I can give other examples. There's nice examples. So, I was thinking this would be a nice topic. I'm this year celebrating my 69th birthday. I'm pretty sure I won't be around for ISKCON 100. Not in this body anyways. And some of the rest of us in this room will probably not be around for ISKCON 100, but some of you in the room, you guys in the front row in particular, hopefully you'll still be around, and you can be part of celebrating ISKCON 100. But what is needed, what do you need to do, because I'm not going to be around, what do you need to do to ensure that ISKCON 100 is going to happen? Because this is, looking forward. There's a group on behalf of the GBC called something, is probably out there in the corporate world, but organization development. I know one second generation devotee, he's majoring in organization development, Gopinath, organization development. And so it's a term out there in the corporate world. So we established an organization development committee on behalf of the GBC, thinking forward, whatever the structures, systems, and et cetera, to allow for the expansion, thinking ahead without all the details. So one of the things that was done was one of our organization development committee members is from Russia. Gora Krishna. He's in charge of the BBT, and English is his second language, but he's very brainy person. He's like a PhD type of person, and he volunteered to take on the assignment of basically like a PhD thesis on what in history of religions of the world and subdivisions of those religions, what organizations succeeded and what organizations didn't succeed and why. Took him 3 years. It was really high level. Like when he explained it, everyone was scratching their head. But we knew there was something good in it, and so a few devotees sat with him for a few days and kind of sifted through the jewels of his research and came up with something that's really simple that I've been saying in it. I'm giving you a little bit more expanded version, but it's called the 4 generations. First, second, third, 4. And the first generation is going across the top when Srila Prabhupada was present. And then after Prabhupada's departure, second generation, Prabhupada's immediate followers, disciples, without Prabhupada's presence. And then the third generation is, in the absence of Prabhupada's disciples, the disciples of his disciples. And then the 4th generation. And so, keeping it very simple, really simple, for you all that are young enough to be around for ISKCON 100, there's something that you all need to do. And those of you that may not be around but can help make it happen because you'll be old and maybe also gone by that time in another 48 years. Add 48 to a number of years of age and you'll see if you're going to be around. Read Prabhupada's books. And it's very lengthy and expanded, but without the understanding of the intention, then the circumstances, and then the teachings. So the intention, we could go to Prabhupada and say, when you said this, did this, what are we to take from that? He could clarify in the first generation. Then in his physical absence, intention can be to some degree accessed by his immediate associates that were with him. But, you know, different persons having been in the same room experiencing the same thing have a different memory of what that experience was, and to understand the intention of our founder Acharya. So there's the context, intention, context, and then in the third generation, the context, there's lots of biographies by Prabhupada disciples writing about Prabhupada's life, and that gives us some sense of the context. But then there's the big picture that's not just one little picture or several little pictures. So when the absence of Prabhupada's disciples, then what's left is his teachings. So this research, 3 years of research by a brilliant person, shows that for organizations that continue, there's a really strong emphasis on the teachings of the founder, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, this branch of Christianity, this branch of Islam, whatever are the different denominations, the teachings of the founder of that particular entity or religious group. The teachings are critical. All that's packaged in one sentence. Please read Prabhupada's books. I plan whenever I go to a new place, that's the Sunday lecture I'm going to give. Please read Prabhupada's books. Please read Prabhupada's, because whether or not ISKCON is going to continue is going to hinge on whether people do that. And it's not just somebody in our community, they're Brahminical. They like to read Prabhupada's books, so we'll just rely on them reading Prabhupada's books. And we'll just ask them what's in Prabhupada's books. That's not adequate. That's not going to ensure ISKCON 100 happens. Because then there's different people that have different opinions about what's in Prabhupada's books. So please read Prabhupada's books. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Be part of the Vaishnava Vishwaraja Sabha program, or the ISKCON program, which is the river of association continues vital. and lively and vibrant and essential. There's other essential things. One absolutely necessary thing is becoming very clear, not just kind of familiar with, but very clear in Prabhupada's teachings, so that you can be independently thoughtful and discriminating about whatever the topic is that's covered in Prabhupada's books, because you're familiar with them. In other words, it's not just something that's out here, it's something that's in here. This is this message of from the heart. The message needs to touch your heart. And we're all busy. Anybody here not busy? We're all busy. We must read Prabhupada's books, however busy, whatever our life is made up of, so that we can be an instrument of the will of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that in every town and village his name will be heard, and so forth, all the other nice things that we've been hearing. This flood of love of God everywhere. It's not going to continue. It will continue when there's this Sangha of Vaishnavas, that when somebody, because of modern circumstances of life, somebody has a job over here and they get a transfer to a job over there, and Haribol, there's some association. It happens. It's not infrequent. It's part of what's going on today. And that's good. And even if you get transferred to a place that's Timbuktu, then you can start association in Timbuktu by the same process. That's what Prabhupada did. There was nothing except the order of his spiritual master. I'll just give one little example because it's real close to home, as they say. In my final year of college, I was living in a farmhouse with a group of people. And it was Krishna's arrangement that each one of us was doing something of a spiritual nature, but it was kind of like, supermarket. It was kind of like a little bit of everything. Somebody was doing Zen, somebody was into Rosicrucian, somebody was into Sufism, someone was into Krishna, someone was into macrobiotic diet, and someone was this and that. We got along fine. So from the house that I was living, 3 people, along with one devotee who was part of the then Buffalo Temple, Janamejaya, and his wife, who had kind of left Krishna consciousness without the detail, they got back together, and then this young couple, Paul and Jennifer, young, long-haired fellow and nice, they went to Atlanta to start the Atlanta Temple, because that's what Prabhupada told them to do. And they didn't know anybody. They didn't have any money. And somehow they found a nice person, William Ogle, who was a student at Emory University, who later became Balavantu, later became the temple president, later became the GBC. Just because Prabhupada sent them, off somewhere to expand the Hare Krishna movement. Very entrepreneurial. Paul and Jennifer didn't continue Krishna consciousness. Janamejaya and his wife did continue Krishna consciousness. And certainly Balavanta did. And then a temple. They bought a temple. It was one of the, anyway, amazing. But just, so, that was an expansive era, and now it's more, not completely, but more in the line of boil the milk kind of era, which is much more emphasis upon training and education before going off to try to start a Hare Krishna temple in Fargo, North Dakota, or something like that, some place where there's nothing. Read Prabhupada's books. Read regularly, and whatever it takes to do, to read regularly. Sometimes it's, read with another person. And then I know devotees in the room that were struggling to read regularly, and they found somebody else to read regularly with, and now they're reading every day. And they're discussing a little bit. It's a little bit every day, and every day. If one gets distracted, the other one pulls their chain and says, come on, let's read today. Okay, we read every day. And it naturally flows from increasing book distribution. Is we want people to read the books that they now have. We also want ourselves to read the books so we can explain what's in the books. And so we're qualified to continue the Hare Krishna movement for ISKCON 100. Okay, I'm putting that topic over here for now. The connected, different but connected, is when people hear the holy name and receive Prabhupada's books and they begin reading Prabhupada's books, they're going to hopefully seek out the association of devotees, just like Badahari did the second day after he got the book. May take people a little bit longer, but what we want is when people come, they have a good experience. And one of the things that makes sure they can have a good experience is good qualities of the devotees. One of the things to make sure they have a bad experience is bad qualities of the devotees. Guaranteed to have a bad experience. There's other things that can help ensure they don't have a good experience, but that's for sure. So it's one of our responsibilities to have places where people can come. It doesn't have to be the temple, it can be all the other places where we have gatherings, home gatherings, or public forum gatherings, a storefront gathering, whatever are the things that people do for gatherings. But people have a good experience, and one of the things that help people have a good experience is good qualities. So I want to speak a little bit about good qualities. It's a responsibility when we have all become devotees, that we are to develop good qualities to represent Krishna and represent ISKCON, represent our founder Acharya, represent our disciplic succession, represent the public, to the public, who the Hare Krishna people are. Because they may not know all the people in the room, but if they know you, and you're a person that has good qualities, they'll evaluate the whole organization based upon your qualities. Or conversely, if it's bad qualities, oh, these are bad people. I don't want to have anything to do with these people. Or at least, reserved. There's a nice scriptural reference about this. It comes in 10th Canto Bhagavatam, where Krishna and Balaram, they're traveling through the forest of Vrindavan, and it's summertime, and Krishna is noticing the trees. And the trees are laden with fruit and bowing down to offer their obeisances to Balaram. That's what Krishna sees. And he puts his arm on Balaram's shoulder. Usually it's the other way around. Balaram puts his arm on Krishna's shoulder. But he puts his arm on Krishna's shoulder, Balaram's shoulder, and gestures to the trees and says, these are great saints. Because what great saints do is they always want to serve others. And just see how these trees are serving. They're serving you, and they're serving all the living entities in Vrindavan. And then he winds up with this verse that says, there are 4 ways that one can serve. Speaking of trees, but trees don't have wealth, but one can serve with one's life, saints, with life, wealth, intelligence, and words. I didn't know the scriptural reference. I just heard one lecture where Prabhupada was speaking about these 4, and then later I read the scriptural reference. And so we can evaluate how well we're doing in our reaching the hearts and the minds of others, whatever the population is, the constituency who we're trying to reach. If any one of these 4 things, they give their life, They give some wealth, they appreciate the work and they want to help with the fruits of their work. They give their intelligence, they have some ability to do construction or repair or cleaning or cooking or something or whatever, so they can use their intelligence to do something. Or they can give their words. And the way Prabhupada ended this, which is what I'm trying to share now specifically, at least they should give their words and say, oh, the Hare Krishna people are nice. Because if they say, oh, the Hare Krishna people are not nice, then that's a disservice. So we're speaking of service. Remember our first evening. This bhakti is service. Anya avila shunyam jnana karma janavratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam. It's service with the body, with the mind, with emotion. So we want the service minimally to be a service that people say, oh, these people are nice. Anybody that had any association with Prabhupada, they may not have appreciated the transcendentalist that he was. But they all, without exception, the persons that I've met, he was so nice. You know that interview with Sally Agarwal? Swamiji was so nice. You know, she didn't understand his transcendental position. Swamiji was so nice. He never made... She was concerned that she would feel uncomfortable. Prabhupada went out of his way to make sure she would never feel uncomfortable. Living in their home, eating unmentionable things, and here's a sadhu in their home, etc., with a little baby, doing things that little babies do, and Prabhupada never made her feel uncomfortable. Swamiji was so nice, etc., without other anecdotes. He was an acharya for his own teaching, that is, even ordinary people. Sometime later, I wasn't there, but the little boy whose name was Bridge, Sally Agarwal's son, was named Bridge when Prabhupada was there. He grew up. And he went to college and he got a job somewhere near St. Louis. Maybe some of the devotees from St. Louis remember this, when Sally Agarwal and her husband came to visit their son. They stopped at the temple, and it was the same thing. Swamiji was so nice. The deep impression. Had love for how nice Prabhupada was. And guaranteed spiritual benefit for just having that sentiment. So it's part of our responsibility to have good qualities. Okay, now comes the next obvious question. How do you get good qualities? And that there's different things that are said, but our verse on Friday evening tells us, essentially, good qualities come from bhakti. When you have bhakti, or you're pursuing bhakti, you're cultivating bhakti. Cultivating bhakti means, quoting one of our members here in the room, I understand that my nature is I'm very selfish. And even when I want something that appears to be like in the realm of devotional service, it's about me. I'm too much obsessed with selfishness. And I don't like it. Now, how are you going to get over that? Or go beyond that? Go on the other side of that? It's bhakti. And the struggle isn't going to get you on the other side. It's in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi esha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya. Mamevi prapadyante. So the prapadyante, the surrender to Krishna, includes 6 things, but the first 2 of the 6 things is accepting things favorable, rejecting things unfavorable. Yes? Anukulyena sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. So we, keeping it simple, in the language of the scripture, on the one hand, we need bhakti. because from bhakti everything else comes. Those of you that are familiar with Bhagavad Gita, scriptural reference. Chapter 13, verses 8 through 12, Krishna's giving items of knowledge, because Arjuna wants to know what's knowledge. And he gives 20 items of knowledge. And of those 20, one is Swarup, the principal characteristic. And that Mai Chananya Yogena Bhaktir Avyabhicharini, undivided devotion to Krishna. And if you have that one, the other 19 will follow. So it sounds like it's a vending machine. But it's not a vending machine, it's not mechanical. If you have that one, avyabhichari bhakti, undivided devotion to Krishna, you want Krishna to be pleased. So when you want Krishna to be pleased, you dismiss the unwanted and accept the wanted. You cultivate good qualities. That's one scriptural reference. Chapter 13, Bhagavad Gita. Here's another one. There's three more. There's a nice section in the 11th canto, Uddhava's receiving knowledge from Krishna. And Krishna teaches, I'm keeping it simple, a method of developing good qualities. Would you like to know what Krishna says, how to develop good qualities? You cultivate it. There are items that are in the category of goodness, and you cultivate the items that are in the category of goodness. You choose the items of goodness. However, it won't stick unless it's for Krishna. If it's for Krishna, it has sustainability. And if it's not for Krishna, the bungee cord effect will happen. It'll go back to where it was before. Conditioning is very strong. So you cultivate qualities to please Krishna. It's not automatic. It rests upon, it rides upon, it's driven by bhakti. Then for Krishna, you cultivate this quality, that quality. There's another very nice reference. You ready for the next one? We've discussed this in different venues. At the chapter that comes right after Prahlad Maharaja's exchange with Lord Nrsingadev is chapter 11 of Canto 7. At the beginning of chapter 11, Yudhisthira wants to know, wow, Prahlad Maharaj was such an exalted devotee. How do you get there? How do you get qualities like Prahlad has? How do you become so pure in devotion like Prahlad became pure in devotion? Well, obviously you need association like he had of Narada. But some people may have had Prabhupada's association and really became elevated, and some didn't. There wasn't much movement. Or as we heard this morning, the example of a devotee who's chanting for so many years and they're proud and fault-finding. So where's the good quality? Something's missing. Therefore, the answer that Yudhisthira gets is, before you can have these elevated qualities, you have to dedicate things to Krishna, Varnashram. And before you can perform Varnashram, you have to become a human being. So there's 30 qualities. You can look them up later. Canto 7, Chapter 11, text 8 through 12. Qualities, human qualities. And Yudhisthira hears, if you develop these 30 qualities, Krishna will be very pleased with you. Okay, Krishna will be pleased with me. How do we get those qualities? With the motivation of wanting to please Krishna, you cultivate. Another place. At the last part of chapter 12, Bhagavad Gita, those who are in devotional service, there's the last part of the chapter is these qualities, those qualities, the other qualities. Such a person is very dear to me. So if you want to be dear to Krishna, develop those qualities. If you want to be dear to Krishna, that's the operative principle. Anukulyena. Want Krishna to be pleased. If you want Krishna to be pleased, then you cultivate. And then you can transition from not such nice quality to nice quality. Now it can happen just by mercy falls from the sky, and one day you have bad qualities, next day you have good qualities. Usually it doesn't happen that way. It's a cultivation process driven by the desire to please Krishna. And then gradually a transformation comes. The quality of goodness comes. There's pillars, the 4 regular principles, they're pillars of goodness. And the table or the chair or whatever it is rests upon those 4 pillars. So we can't ignore those 4 pillars. And then we can't ignore other things that are also good qualities. To please Krishna, bhakti is the operative force that says, I want to please Krishna. That's something that's from the soul level. And then the mind, the senses, emotion goes following the desire of the soul to be with Krishna. So one last thing, it's in relation to our the appeal I made this morning of assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mission of giving love of God in the form of the holy name, in the form of transcendental teachings, however, somehow, in addition to the busy lives that we have, to maintain what's already in front of us. Is it something that we're interested in? It's a false dilemma question. And the answer to the question is both. Are we more interested in quality or quantity? I was having a discussion with one devotee about book distribution. Book distribution has an element that in the past, wrongly, mistakenly, devotees understood Prabhupada wanted book distribution, and so they acted in such a way that it turned people off to the Hare Krishna movement. It was literally by hook or by crook. Distribute the book. Literally. And lots of books are distributed, but we didn't leave a good impression. We didn't leave people thinking, oh, the Hare Krishna people are nice. I like your books, but you people aren't nice. So many stories. I was once trying to arrange with the Bronx Zoo in New York City because it's a public venue for our distribution of books. And the person that was in charge of the Bronx Zoo was a mode of goodness person, but he wasn't saying yes, and he wasn't saying no. And finally, after, 10 visits, he finally gave the explanation why. He said, you're different. I wouldn't mind if you're the one that comes to the zoo, but my son met one of your people in Mount Kisco, and he was told this and that and the other thing about what he was getting, and he was happy about what he got, but he found out it was a lie about what he was getting. And so I don't want that going on in the zoo. This is, although it's a public forum, you have First Amendment rights. I don't want to say yes. And I know you people litigate to get your spots open when you want them. I don't want a legal suit either, but I don't want to say yes either. So if you're the one that's coming, you can come. If people that have good qualities, then doors open. And persons don't have good qualities, then doors close. And hearts close. And minds close. And the message that's so beneficial, the door's not only closed, it's locked. And as we expand, there's going to be lots of devotees going and meeting people who it's going to be their first impression. I was told by the devotees to do door-to-door book distribution. There's lots of people in any venue, in any urban place. They didn't even know that we have a Hare Krishna temple. And they didn't know where it was and what it was and so forth. And they, oh, I can start coming now. We want that impression to be a warm feeling. And so it's quality. And quality will lead to quantity. We want quantity. We're setting goals. And we should set goals. Prabhupada did it. And it's not a competition against the other temple or the other Prabhu. It's, you know, it's to have a goal. So we want to quantify, just like japa. We set some vrata of what we'll chant every day. We can chant more. But we want quality, and we want some fixed goal. Not one versus the other. Trade-off. It's a false dilemma. We want to make Lord Chaitanya, his prediction, fulfilled. We want to be instruments of his prediction. And we can be. We can be part of it. And it can be a small part, a medium part, or a larger part, whatever. But let's be part of it, and both in a qualitative and quantitative manner. And we're responsible to represent our founder Acharya properly, and the predecessor Acharyas, because they'll be valued in terms of our character and qualities. And will be effective long-term because of good qualities and good character. Not only with new people, but amongst our own people. It's kind of simple. When a new person comes and sees, wow, they treated me really nicely, but I see how the people here, they quarrel with each other, so I think I'll just stay out there and they'll treat me really nicely. I like it better. It's Kali Yuga, and it's not easy. What's the cutoff time? I've already passed it. Huh? 12 o'clock. Oh, okay. I'm thinking all of these messages are related to succession, because those who have been trying level best to assist our founder Acharya to carry on the Hare Krishna movement, you know, at a certain stage it's really obvious. I mean, it's kind of obvious before then, but our days are numbered. And so how to pass on to the next generation the mantle. There's some of the devotees in the room will be going to the International Leadership Sangha, ILS. It's got to have an acronym, right? ILS. And the whole function of that is passing on the leadership of ISKCON to the next generation as smoothly and effectively as possible. Because passing on from the first generation to the second generation, there was a little bumpy ride. The transition wasn't so smooth. It could have been a lot better. And now there's a whole wave of Prabhupada's disciples of a certain age that after some time, we're not going to be fit, or we're not even going to be physically present to participate with you all. So what do we need to do today to make it so that you all can have a better time of it in this transition thing and carry on for ISKCON 100 over the next several decades? It's going to rest on the shoulders of you all. I mean, certainly some persons in different positions of that structure, different roles, different functions, but character is critical, and accepting fresh challenges, not too much, but accepting some fresh challenge and rising to the occasion so that it taxes our energy a bit, not too much, but a bit. And I've been trying to share some messages that have some relation to all of that. Ultimately, it comes, in one sense, it comes down to purity, because purity is the force. And that's, you know, kind of elusive. What does purity mean? Mean different things to different people. But bhakti that has one purpose, not a mix. And striving to come to that stage where bhakti is not mixed. And striving by right means and good association, being part of that synergy or part of the Sangha of Vaishnavas that has that objective, and playing our part. Contacting new people, taking care of existing devotees, envisioning the future, taking some kind of responsible position, one kind or another, to help move the mission forward with good quality, good character, and a clear idea of what Prabhupada wanted, because you read his books. And you want to see what he gave to you and to the rest of us, you want to see it continue in the same shape and form, at least the same condition that's in today, and hopefully better. So there's my little message. And where's our MC? Here he is. You got your microphone? Do you need one?
Hare Krishna. So the next part of the program, we will be inviting Lavanya Kelly Devidasi to present the Vyasa Puja book to Maharaj.
What's this? Okay. These are late offerings. They didn't make it. Okay.
And then we ask Guru Maharaj, the next part of the program, you will present your offering to Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, well.
If you like.
The box. Okay, I'll figure it out. I didn't go to engineering school, but I think I know how to open boxes. Okay. There's a whole team that worked on this. You want to say something about the team that worked on this?
Yes, Maharaj. So I know that, I know that the effort was headed by Madhu Mangal Prabhu and Premarasa Mataji, and I'm sure there were many others involved who spent many hours, not just putting the book together, but also chasing all of us down to submit our offerings on time to make it into the book. So a big appreciation for the patience and dedication that this service requires every year to put this collection of offerings together in a way that's just like Krishna consciousness, ever fresh. So it's a nice reflection on the year and a nice meditation as well to compile all of these outpourings of our feelings for Maharaj. So Hari Bol for the team that put it together.
Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshudamiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Desatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pungam Lagayate Girim Yad Kripatamaham Bhante Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. my dear and most respected spiritual master and eternal Father, please accept my most humble and respectful obeisances in the dust of your most merciful lotus feet. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. This past year featured a series of joyous celebrations honoring the 50th anniversary of your founding ISKCON, after which you expanded the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all its diversity, literally around the world in a short span of 11 years. Worldwide, the experience of honoring you in this way was simply wonderful. Now that ISKCON 50 is behind us, those who are forward thinkers and leaders are looking to what lies ahead, putting into place that which will preserve your outstanding legacy by ensuring that the next generations will witness and celebrate ISKCON 100. We know that the transition from one phase of an organization's life to the next can bring uncertainty, turmoil, tests of faith, and similar challenges. History shows this to be true, not only with ISKCON, but within the broader society as well. In service to your divine grace, various groups of devotees working under the GBC have invested a decade in carefully considering your instructions, challenges in fulfilling them, and the best ways and means to achieve the smoothest transition from where we are today to where we want to be over the next generation of ISKCON. Training and educating our present and future leaders in a wide range of skills is a cornerstone of these efforts. Curriculum development and systematic training at the GBC College for Leadership in Wada constitute an outstanding example. Just this year, the rollout of Vaishnava Life Counseling course prepared by Ikshvaku Prabhu and the Devotee Care course created by Rasamandala Prabhu are additional examples. Many outreach activities, starting with major increases in the tip of the spear activities, Harinam and book distribution, extending to effective college outreach, innovative ways of expanding prasadam distribution efforts, temple construction, opening of preaching centers, and other outreach outposts, etc. These are all signs of an expanding organization. Creating structures for training newcomers and providing a suitable bhakti habitat for them have become increasingly important tasks. Making a smooth transition for the next generation of leaders is a priority as well. Taking firm, incremental steps towards fulfilling your vision for ISKCON to establish Varnashram within the world is yet another essential opportunity and challenge before us. All these efforts, and more to come, are simply pursuant to the first purpose you stated in ISKCON's Articles of Incorporation, which is A, to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, and to educate all peoples in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. Please empower us with the requisite intelligence, determination, sincerity, and strength to work toward achieving these goals, ever keeping your intentions and instructions in front of us. Years of sustained and synergized efforts among sincere and serious devotees will be required. In service to your divine grace, let us work together to ensure ISKCON 100 becomes a reality. Statistical odds may be against us, but Krishna is on our side, provided we remain loyal followers of your divine grace. The desire to serve you literally forever is deeply and indelibly embedded within my heart. Kindly accept my prostrated obeisances again and again, aspiring for your eternal service, your humble servant. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. For the next part of the program, devotees and well-wishers who have signed up will now present their offerings to Guru Maharaj. So this portion